Tara teaches design at a college in Bengaluru, and one Sunday she watched her older cousin Anand hand the keys of his Indiranagar flat to a broker, a flat he had lived in for 14 years. By Tuesday, he was a resident of Dubai. He did not flee, he left calmly, on a plan years in the making, while Tara stayed with her boring salary and quiet little portfolio. Today, I want to walk you through the honest math of why people like Anand are quietly leaving and what it actually means for you, the one staying. Stay till the end because the last lesson is the only one that really matters for an ordinary saver. Anand was not unhappy with India. He grew up here, his parents are here, his favorite filter coffee is here. But over coffee, he laid out his reasons like a spreadsheet. And Tara, who is curious rather than bitter, wrote them down line by line. She wanted to know which reasons were genuinely real, which were quietly exaggerated, and which, surprisingly, applied to her own ordinary salaried life too. The first reason was tax. Anand had crossed into the highest slab years ago, and once you add the surcharge that the very rich pay, his top rupees were taxed at well over 40%. In Dubai, the personal income tax on his salary is simply zero. On the top 50 lakh rupees of income, that gap is more than 20 lakh rupees a year. For a high earner, that is not vanity. That is real money, compounding for decades. But Tara stayed fair. She wrote down her own income in the other column, and the gap shrank to almost nothing. Run the same move on her salary, and the math doesn't just shrink, it inverts. Most of her earnings sit in the lower and middle slabs, while the squeeze is heaviest exactly where Anand sits. The angry headlines make it sound like everyone is being pressed equally, and that is the part she did not believe. There was also the estate worry. India has no inheritance tax today, but Anand feared it might one day return, while several countries he eyed have none and promise none. Tara noticed this was partly fear of a tax that does not yet exist, real as a worry, softer as a fact. The next reason was friction. Anand ran a small manufacturing business and he was simply tired. Tired of overlapping filings, of rules that changed in the middle of the year, of compliance work that ate a full salary just to stay legal. He showed Tara the cost. Roughly 15 lakh rupees a year went purely to staying compliant before a single product was even sold. In Singapore, he said, the rules were strict but stable, and that stability was worth more to him than the lower cost. Tara understood this one in her gut. She does not run a factory, but she files her own taxes, and she has felt the small dread of paperwork that punishes honest people for honest mistakes. For a business owner, friction is not an excuse. It is a tax measured in time, and time is the one thing no salary and no city can ever refund you. The next reason was the air. Anand pulled up the winter readings from a northern city where his factory had a branch, and the numbers were the kind doctors quietly worry about late at night. His daughter had a cough that lasted 3 months every single year. The kid's lungs, he admitted, were his wife's real spreadsheet. He could buy a bigger house in India, but he could not buy cleaner air to breathe inside that house. That, he said softly, was the reason that finally moved her. Then came his children. Anand wanted his daughter to have global college options and healthcare that did not depend on which city she happened to land in. Foreign residency made those doors open more easily and often cheaper than paying full international fees from outside the gate. Tara saw the love in it, and she also saw clearly that it was a luxury priced far beyond an ordinary saver's reach. The next reason was the quiet one, and the one that stayed with Tara longest: the rupee. Anand explained that over the long run, the rupee tends to lose value against the dollar. Slowly, a few percent in most years. If your entire net worth sits in rupees, you are richer on paper every year, and quietly poorer in global terms. Keeping everything in one slowly softening currency, he said, is like standing still on a downward escalator, a bet you never agreed to make. Tara tested that math for herself that night. A sum that buys a basket of imported goods today buys noticeably less of it 10 years later, even if the rupee number grew. That erosion is invisible because we count everything in rupees, and rupees are the very thing slowly losing ground. This, she realized, was the first reason that applied to her exactly as much as it applied to Anand. The last of his reasons was simply that exit is easy for the rich. Golden visas and residency by investment let the very wealthy buy a second home base for a price that is large, but for them, comfortably payable. For Anand, the door was open only because he could afford the key. Tara noted, without any resentment, that this option does not exist for most ordinary people, and pretending otherwise only sells fear and panic. So, where did all of this leave Tara, the one staying? She is not leaving, and she honestly does not need to. Uprooting her family to save a tax she barely pays would be like buying a tractor to mow a balcony garden. You cannot copy a rich person's exit, and chasing it would only make you poorer in the trying. Anand's whole spreadsheet, stripped of the airfare and the visa, was really about one thing: protecting real value from slow, silent erosion. So Tara changed three small, boring things. She began thinking in real returns after inflation because the rupee quietly loses value whether or not she ever notices it. She put a sensible slice of her long term money into a low cost global index fund so that if the rupee drifts down over decades, a part of her wealth quietly drifts up to meet it. That is the rich man's instinct, shrunk to a size that fits a salary. And she kept building domestic wealth calmly through her ordinary monthly SIP with no panic, no exit, and no flashy move. That is the honest turn. The rich are not abandoning a sinking ship, and India is most certainly not finished. They are optimizing a very specific math problem that mostly belongs to the very top. Here is the part nobody tells the ordinary saver. You are not losing a race the rich are winning. You are playing an entirely different game with different rules where panic is the only real way to lose. You need real returns, a little global diversification, and the patience to keep showing up month after month. If this way of thinking helped, Money Decoded has more for you. There's a video on the fixed deposit illusion where the safe number loses to inflation, one on the boring SIP math that turns 500 a day into 5 crore, and one on why India's quietly rich look poor while the broke look rich. Watch those next. No hype, no stock tips, just the boring math that actually works. This is education, not personal financial advice. See you in the next one.